Hello and welcome to today's tutorial. Yet again I've had a little look around my cupboards and fridge to see what I can find, and I think it's time really that we use some pasta. I'm making today the famous macaroni cheese, otherwise these days known as mac and cheese. It's quite an easy, straightforward recipe to do, and I'm going to show an even quicker way of doing it today using my all-in-one cheese sauce. Okay, so off we go. Let's have a look at the ingredients on the tray. Very simple and very easy to find all these things in your cupboard, hopefully. And also, the other thing I like about this sauce is there's very little weighing. In fact, everything's done in tablespoons or cups. I've got a tablespoon of spread. You can use an olive spread, or you can use butter or a sunflower spread, depending on your choice. A cup of milk, which is approximately 250 millilitres. A tablespoon of flour, about 50 grams of grated cheese. Now, when we use the cheese in recipes, use the strongest cheese you can possibly get. The mild cheese has exactly the same fat content, so get the strongest and then you'll get a really good flavour coming out of your macaroni cheese. I've got a little dash of Worcester sauce in there just to perk it up a little bit, and a choice of mustards, either a Dijon to mix in or your good old dry powdered mustard, and that really helps to bring out the flavour of the cheese. A little bit of black pepper. I'm going to top mine with a sliced tomato, but one of my favourites is actually fried off mushrooms and bacon. If you've got a little bit of that in the fridge, you can fry that off and just put it on top of the macaroni cheese at the end. And then in here I have 50 grams of dry macaroni, which I've just cooked off for about 8 to 12 minutes, depending on the packet instructions for that. And I've just drained that and put that in a separate little bowl. Right, so step one, off we go. I'm at the cooker now, and I've got a nice little small non-stick pan. I do advise using a non-stick pan for making an all-in-one sauce, because we don't really want it stuck or burnt on the bottom of the pan. Also, a nice wooden spoon. Don't use a metal spoon, because A, it will scratch your pan, and B, the heat will be conducted right up the spoon, and you'll find that your hand gets very, very hot. Now, traditionally in a roux sauce, you would melt the butter until that was really soft, then you would add your flour and cook it off, then you would actually add the milk drop by drop by drop. Well, this goes totally against that, and I'm going to put everything in the pan together. So in with the butter, in with the flour. Any type of flour will do. Flour's a little bit hard to get hold of at the moment, isn't it? But I did have some in my cupboard. This is actually bread flour, but it won't matter if it's plain, self-raising. You just want to make that to use your sauce, and then pour in your cup full of milk. And then basically what I'm going to do is, over a very, very low heat, just keep stirring that all the time. So I'm going to put this on a 6 on my induction. You may be slightly different to that. If you're using gas, don't have the flames leaping all around the pan, because it will end up getting too hot, and what we don't want is a lumpy sauce. Now, this is all going to melt, and the milk will get hot, the starch in the flour will burst, and hopefully we'll get a nice thick lump-free sauce. So I'm going to keep doing that now for about 5 minutes, and I'll be back with you soon. Right, as you can see, the butter has now melted, and I can just see a little bit of steam coming off the pan, which means the milk is warming up. Now, at this stage, if your doorbell goes or your phone goes, please ignore it, because you cannot leave your sauce. And you'll see I'm stirring the sauce quite rapidly, making sure that it doesn't catch on the bottom. What you do have to be mindful of, and a little bit careful, is not to flick it all over the top of your cooker, because that will take some getting off, and we don't really want it to burn it on there. Having said that, I have flipped mine around a couple of times. Now, you should start to feel it go a little bit thicker in the pan now. And it is a little bit time consuming, but it is well worth it because this sauce is very, very versatile. We can use it to make a cauliflower, oh there goes a splash, and another one. We can use it to make a cauliflower cheese, we can use it for a cheese sauce on the top of a lasagna, or another nice recipe is a leek, which you've boiled for a couple of minutes. Wrap a piece of ham around the leek once you've drained it, and then make this cheese sauce to go over the top. So once that thickens, I will be back. Alright, so my sauce is thickened, as you can see. That probably took about 5 minutes, and do make sure you actually see a couple of bubbles go into your sauce, which means that the starch in the flour has cooked. Otherwise you'll get a little bit of a floury taste to it. That's lovely and smooth, and thankfully no lumps. If you did have a couple of lumps in there, a little balloon whisk will help. And then in with your cheese, saving a little bit to go on the top, 50 grams or a handful. I always put the cheese on once I've cooked the sauce, otherwise if you put it on the heat, it can make the cheese a little bit on the stringy side. And you'll find the heat of the sauce actually melts your cheese. Give that a nice stir around. In with my little bit of Worcester sauce there. And I'm just going to pop in a little bit of dry mustard, only a pinch really, to bring out the flavour of that cheese. Stir that in, and then all that remains is to pop in your macaroni. It doesn't have to be macaroni, you could use any pasta shells or pasta twists. If you've got wholemeal, even better, because obviously there's more fibre in there. It'll keep you full for longer, but I'm just using plain white macaroni. I think I might have been a little bit generous when I put my 50 grams in. And you want it to be quite saucy, you don't want it to be really dry, so I'm not going to use all that macaroni. I might make that into a little macaroni salad later. And then all that's next to do is pop that into your dish. I would suggest eating this fresh. It doesn't freeze particularly well, and it tends, if you use it the next day, it tends to be a little bit on the stodgy side. So it is better fresh. Make sure you use up all that sauce. And then a sprinkling of your cheese on top there. And then I'm also going to put some sliced tomato. And this is when you would pop on your mushrooms and your bacon if you were using it. They would have been fried off and cooked. Just pop that down the centre. That's going to go onto the grill for about 5 minutes, just to brown off the top, because everything is already cooked. So we just want that to go nice and golden brown now. Oh, doesn't that look delicious? And it smells beautiful. So I'm going to finish that off now with some ground black pepper. Make sure you get plenty on the tomatoes. And a little bit, because I've got some fresh basil there, and that again works really well with the tomatoes. So that's our mac and cheese. I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. I hope you'll keep cooking and let me know what you think of them so far, and don't say rubbish. Thank you.